All right, guys, we're back. Camera's on. Almost got a brain freeze. Whew. Cameras, come on. Let's see who we got. We got Luz is not there. Steven, I see you. Moses, not there. Gil, I see you. Talia, I see your book. Chad, got you. Heather, walking around. Abanub, I only see San Francisco. Perla, don't know where you are. Meredith, don't see you. I see your background. Vanessa, I see you. Don't drink yet. We're not done. Okay, don't be like Steven. No alcohol, please. Oh, Perrier, that's what it is. Janessa, I see you. Natalie, Nicole, amazing ice cream. Thank you. Nasa's is the best. Sabrina, I see you. Up close. All right. Catherine, I see you. Joe, Susanna, welcome. Carlos, I see you. Anthony, Brian, Peter, Mina Fawzi, I see you. Daphne, who else? Monica, I cannot see you. You're disturbing the class. Let's see. Mina Youssef, I see you. Crystal, eating. Riley, nope. Okay. Let's see. Crystal is still eating. Okay. Meredith says that must be great. It's amazing. Carlos says O'Doul's. Steven, what kind of ice cream was that? Pistachio and chocolate. Perfect deal. Meredith says I was typing, so you can't see me. Okay. By the way, Nicole, Pedro is offended. He wants his ice cream. He was saying chocolate, chocolate, and chocolate with sprinkles of chocolate and more chocolate. Whatever you can get chocolate next time. You thought he was on vacation. Yeah, me too. He's been on vacation since beginning of the year. All right. Gary is back. Gary, everything is good, I hope. All right, so ready? Who's ready for investments? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready for investments. Great. I like that. So this is not an investment class. We're going to talk about what an investment is, and then we get to the boring part, which is taxes. And then we're going to go to business brokerage. That's what it is. Okay. Meredith says that's for me. What, investments? All right. So if that's for you and for everybody else, I want you guys to tell me what this word means. Investment. Let me know in the chat. What does investment mean? Gil says, hold on. What does investment mean? Gil says gambling. Okay. All right. Gambling, making money work for you. Return. Investment doesn't necessarily mean return, but I got you. Okay. Something to create income. Profits. Use money to make money. Spend money to make money. Future benefits. Okay. Money for benefits. You guys are holding on to the money concept. Okay. It could be time, money, energy, like Gary wrote here, with hopes of a great reward. Absolutely. Okay? So, no, investment doesn't mean profit, and investment doesn't mean money making. Think about it. If you're in a relationship, you made an investment in the relationship, and the return hopefully is fruitful relationship for a very long period of time. You're putting time and effort into it. It's not money. Even though there's money also involved, but there's in this case, a commitment, and you're expected to, again, reap the rewards of that commitment. So more often, yes, people think of investment as I dump money, I get a return. All right? But let's consider that one then. I dump money, I get a return. Do we always get a return in our investments? No, right? If we do, let's say if we do get a return on our investment, do we always get a high return? Could we get a low return? Could you get a medium one? What do we get, guys? Gil says, depends. What kind of return do we get? Steven says it all depends. Depends on what? You're way off. What kind of investment have you made? That's what it depends? Okay. Moses says real estate is a better investment than the stock market. Well, it depends. It might be, it might not be. It depends on experience, knowledge, or money. Okay? Not always. It also depends on market. See, okay, a pocket full of hope. There you go. That's a great one. It doesn't depend on what you put in and what the return is. It depends on market. Think about it this way. So Moses talked about real estate being a better investment than stock market. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. It depends on the market because real estate is still a market. You guys understand? So it depends on what you're branding, or what you're investing in, what kind of market we're in, supply and demand, right? And then the returns will come from that. So it's not always the amount of money that you put in. Okay, I just want to talk about this right here, Heather, because it's not always the amount of money you put in and what return you get. All right, return is return, regardless of the amount of money you put in. If you're asking me, if you're telling me what profit you got from it, right, or how much money you made from it, then yes, then it would vary based on the amount of money you put in. But return is always defined by percentage. And what that percentage comes from, whatever the market is doing. So if you look at stock market, sometimes you have 20% returns, 40% returns. There's a stock that 2 days ago gave 120 something percent return to the investors. But if you only put $1, how much money did you get back? Does that make sense? So the return itself is that percentage, almost like a cap rate. You got it? It's the rate of return. It doesn't determine how much money you made. It doesn't determine how much money you put in. So investment, in essence, I'm going to go here to something that, right here, Gil wrote. Investment, in essence, is gambling, right? So why do I agree with this statement? Because we just talked about risk. We talked about you don't know what the outcome is going to be. So it's not how much money you put in that determines that it's an investment. I can put $1 and come out with $1 million, right? What was the rate of return? Okay. But is there a chance that I put $1 and come out with nothing? Is there a chance I put $1 million and come out with nothing? Right? So it's a gamble. In fact, it's a risk. So every investment has, make this a little prettier. Every investment has different degrees of risk. There's low risk investments, there's medium risk investments, and there are high risk investments. Okay? Okay? So, let me ask you something else. That's it. Let me ask you something else. What do you guys think about, like if you're an employee, what investment are you making? If you're an employee, tell me that in the chat. What investment are you making? Because it's an investment still. Time for money, exactly. So Natalie, I'm sorry, not Natalie, Crystal, labor, yeah, you're putting your time and effort in exchange for money. That's your return, right? So you're investing time and effort. Great, so everybody is in agreement. Now, do you think a job is a low, medium, or high risk investment? Low risk, absolutely. Low to medium risk. In today's market, we don't know. So now the risk increased a little bit. But traditionally, it's a low risk investment. Great. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Could be low pay as well, because the lower the risk, most likely, the lower the return, right? Most likely, not always. But let me ask you now something. If I buy $1, well now it's $2, right? So $2 for Mega Millions or Powerball or any of those, Cash for Life or whatever, $2. Is that a low risk, medium risk, or high risk? I only played $2. Low risk, medium risk, or high risk? Natalie, you cannot be a high-low. Choose one. Low, high risk, high rewards. Low. Okay. So Natalie, ready? You were right. High risk. There's something you guys did not understand about what I said about to Heather before. I could put $2 and get no return. I could put $2 and get $1 million. But most of the times, remember, I talked about gambling. I talked about risk. Most of the times, it's a high risk investment, because what is an investment? What is an investment? Risk. Do I get the money back? Am I going to win? Am I not going to win? If it's a high risk investment, then most of the times it will be a 0.00 in this scenario, 0.00001% chance that I'll get my money back. Not even profit. It's getting my money back. So it's a low cost of entry. There's a big difference. There's low cost of entry and high risk. Now, there's a high risk. There could be also a high reward, like Chad was saying. But it's not a low risk investment. It's a high risk investment with low cost of entry. So now let's look at this business, what you guys are doing here. For less than $1,000, including the course, for less than $1,000, you start your business. Okay? What do you think this business is? Is it a low risk, medium risk, or high risk investment? This business. Low risk, medium risk, or high risk? You guys think this business is high risk? No, not at all. Medium to low. Guys, it's a low cost of entry with low risk. Very low risk. Medium to low risk. You have no overhead. Think about it. You have no overhead because you don't have employees. You don't have rentals, right? There's a lot of demand. Everybody needs a place to live, right? And there's barely any competition. It all depends on you, exactly. All right? So this is low cost of entry and medium to low risk type of investment. Gambling, it's low cost of entry but high risk. The odds of you making money in the Mega Millions or Powerball or whatever, the odds are very slim to none. The odds of you being consistent, think about it. If you go to play Mega Millions every single week, twice a week, what are the odds of you getting your money back? Again, slim to none. If you guys do this business, you're committed, you're consistent every single week, where are the odds of you getting your money back? You see what I'm trying to say? Steven, you're with me, right? All right, you're having an argument there. I just want to make sure you're like here. Are you guys understanding this? Yes or no? Okay, so this is a great, any independent business traditionally is a great business. All right? Why? Because it depends on you. It doesn't depend on anybody else. It depends on you. Real estate is usually, I'm going to show you in a little bit, a solid investment, just like Moses was saying, right? Usually it brings higher returns on the long term, higher returns than stock market, okay? With less managing than the stock market. Stock market, you got to pay attention to it or you drown. Real estate, you got enough time. We talked about this. It's very slow at adjusting. You can predict the future, right? So, Gary, we can look at these stats all day long. Even if it's up, beware. Even the stock market has these days. And then crash. Even if this were to be true. Okay? Daphne's coming with a question. Okay. Nope, nope, and no. Daphne, nope, nope, and no. No. Absolutely not. If you're new to real estate, you won't know if it's high or low risk unless you do research. Nope. It's always low risk. What's high risk is your level of determination. If you're not determined to do something, it's going to become high risk. But real estate is one of those types of business. One of those types of business that if you have a little bit of common sense, I'll tell you right now, I'm not trying to put anybody down, people that have made investments. But if you have a little bit of common sense, just a little bit, you'll always make some money. If you do your research, then you make a lot of money. That's the difference. You got it? There's no way not to make money in real estate if you have common sense. That's all. With stock market, you can have common sense, but it's scary. Again, it's a heart attack every 2 seconds. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, and like you don't know where it's going, right? Real estate, it takes 10 years, 15 years. You can predict that wave that you're riding. It's the best wave to surf. You can predict. Will you have as high returns as a stock market? Probably not. But you also don't have that crash like the stock market. You have to remember, 2009, it was not a normal thing. It's not something that happens all the time. So could we have a crash in the market now? Yes. Is it going to drop 50% in value like it did before? Most likely not. So it's predictable. You guys got it? Plus, there's two choices that you have here. You can either invest your money or help others invest their money. One or the other. With a license, you're helping others. With money, you're helping yourself. So even if you don't have the money, you're helping others that want to assume the risk. All you have to do is matchmake and you're making money. Okay? So that's to tell everybody that this is a great business. It is possible. Deal with the struggle of learning this and passing and the struggle of not making money for the first 6 months to a year. Deal with that because it's very rewarding after that. Okay? A good real estate business could take up to 5 years to build, where then you have those repeat business, the referrals are built already, and so on. Could take 5 years. Be ready for that. But any business that you want to open up a store, you're looking at $20, $30, $40, $50, $100,000 to open it up, and then wait 2-3 years for the returns to come in, where it starts breaking even, and hopefully you'll keep on going up and you have enough profit to start making money yourself. Right? I'm not saying all businesses are like that, but the majority, that's what it is. Real estate, you put $1,000 between school, license, the actual license, memberships, business cards, $1,000, you're in business. No overhead after that. The broker deals with it. You see what I'm saying? So, no risk. Guys, this from today on, if you take what I'm saying, from today on is all pure profit. Real estate is great. Okay? Dive in. Carlos, love when I hear it's an all-time high. That's exactly when it crashes. Absolutely. I love it. Yep. Recently, we've been hearing it's an all-time low, but it's not real estate, it's something else, and then sky high. Like interest. I don't know what you guys were thinking, but interest, for instance. All right, so going back to the book. Easy to understand, investment is risk, period. Now, what are the advantages of real estate investments? Well, remember when I said common sense? The advantage is, if you buy real estate, usually the return you get on that pays the mortgage and some. And that's what a real estate investment is for. So the return that you get is the total income, direct cash flow, indirect benefits such as depreciation and appreciation, which we're going to go over today. A lot of people don't see that. Oh, I'm only making $200-$300 clean a month. It's not a good investment. It's still a good investment. It's an extra $200-$300 you're making, right? Plus, there's the deductions for depreciation, and it's increasing in value over time. Way more than putting $200 into a savings account. You see what I'm saying? Which at the end you still have to pay taxes on. So, all right. So, Crystal, $200 you didn't have before. Absolutely. So often investors borrow money to finance real estate purchase with the expectation that if held long enough, the asset will yield a greater return than it costs to finance. Using borrowed money this way is called leverage. Okay, so even if you had cash to purchase a property, why would you put all your money there? It's a very old saying. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Why? Who can tell me why? Hit me in the chat. Why shouldn't you put all your eggs in one basket? We're talking about investments, okay? Just in case you think about anything else, talking about investments. And it says here, you could lose it all. You could lose everything you have. If the basket falls, your eggs crack. Because you may not have any more left. If it fails, you're done. Right here, diversity. Because you're placing all risk in one place. Absolutely. The property could burn down. Absolutely. You could lose it all. Liquidity. Can be left with nothing. Absolutely. There's no backup. All these are valid answers. So that's why we don't use all our money to buy something. But if you do, one thing you should do right after, we talked about the other day, is a line of credit. At least you get your money back somehow. Does that make sense? So can you buy the house cash just to make it stronger and buy it cheaper because it's cash? Possibly. You can. What should you do right after? Leverage that cash property, cash out the money and dump into the next one. Cash out the money, dump into the next one. So technically, one purchase buys all your properties. Does that make sense? All right? So do you need to have a lot of money to buy 10 houses? No, you just need to buy the first one the right way. If you've done the right purchase, it will yield enough money, enough return, that you can invest more and more and more. All right? Now, real estate markets vary widely. Real estate prices keeping pace with inflation in some areas, holding their own in other states, and dropping sharply elsewhere. We already talked about that. Any real estate investor must take local conditions into account before making decisions. Wise words in this book that a lot of people do not follow. Okay? What are the disadvantages of real estate? Because, hey, listen. Here's the thing. Not everything is that shiny. Not everything is that perfect. All right? I'm telling you, real estate is the best thing in the world, but yeah, it has disadvantages. One of them is if you didn't buy it at the right price. So addressing Peter real quick. If you didn't buy it at the right price, if it's costing you more than the return you're getting, like if every month you're paying for that mortgage instead of collecting from that mortgage, from those rents and paying it off, right? Then it's a bad investment most of the times. Do you understand? So need to take account what's happening in the local market. What are the disadvantages? Nothing is perfect. Unlike stocks and bonds, real estate is not highly liquid over a short period of time. What does it mean, not highly liquid? It means that you cannot cash out the value right away. If you have money in your checking account, what can you do? If there's money, you can go there, ATM, withdraw. Easy. If you have stocks and bonds, you can probably sell it the same day or sell it the next day and have it available immediately. Real estate, unless you're taking a huge loss, you're not cashing out until a month, 2 months, 3 months later, unless you're taking a huge loss. Do you guys understand? This is the disadvantage of real estate. So real estate is more of a long-term thing versus short-term. Gary says, I wanted to buy a place in Jersey City 7 years ago. Now it's impossible. Yeah. I should have bought it 15 years ago, and then when I was told about Jersey City, I ignored it. Live and learn. Okay? Next. In addition, it's also difficult to invest in real estate without some degree of expert advice. Investment decisions must be made based on careful study of all the facts in the given situation, reinforced by a broad and thorough knowledge of all real estate and the manner in which it affects and is affected in the marketplace. Marketplace is the human element. I've been talking about this over and over. The buyers decide the value of things. If buyers are buying, values go up. If buyers are holding, then values start going down. The buyer decides what they want to pay for it. It's not the seller that decides. It's the buyer. Okay, now there's a lot of demand. So buyers are willing to pay more because there's not enough supply. You see what I'm saying? So it's still not the seller because the seller has to accept an offer. They're just listing it. The buyer is the one that has the power. Now, all investors obviously should seek legal and tax counsel before making any real estate investments. My biggest concern is always taxes. The legal, not so much, because it's almost like you've seen one, you've seen all. Like the legal side of it is almost the same everywhere. But taxes, depending on the tax bracket that you're in, depending on the type of investment you're making, taxes could be affected tremendously. So always, always, always have a CPA, I call it your best friend, on standby. Does that make sense? Very important. Also because you don't want to pay taxes. Anybody wants to pay taxes? Raise your hand if you want to pay. No? Okay. You should pay taxes. There you go, Perla, thank you. You should pay taxes, but there's nothing wrong in trying to legally drop the amount of tax that you have to pay. All right, there's a lot of people that go to a CPA. Daphne, it's certified public accountants. I'm going to point it out in a little bit. But there's a lot of people that go to a CPA and say, hey, I don't want to pay taxes. What do I have to do? That's the wrong question. That's tax evasion. What's the wrong question to ask? The question is, hey, you're the professional, right? Can you please let me know how I can reduce my tax burden? How the amount that I have to pay at the end of every year? How can I legally reduce it? What can I do? And they'll work with you to do that. Asking not to pay is like, can I steal? The answer is no. Okay? Can realtors be CPAs as well? Guys, you can be whatever you guys want. You want to be mortgage professionals, you want to be CPAs, you want to be attorneys, you want to be a surgeon and do real estate. Sure, you can do whatever you guys want. Just try not to wear both hats in the same transaction at the same time. Once you're done with the closing, can you tell the buyer, by the way, I'm also a CPA in case you need my services in the future? Sure. Should you say, hey, here's my real estate card, here's my mortgage card, here's my CPA card, here's my... No. Right? You're opening yourself up to a lawsuit. That's when the legal issues come in. All right? But can you? Absolutely. Perla, I don't want the IRS behind me or in front of you. I don't want the IRS anywhere around me. Okay? So, rarely can a real estate investor sit idly by and watch his or her money grow. Management decisions must be made. For example, can the investor effectively manage the property personally, or would it be better to hire a professional property manager? how much rent should be charged, and how should repairs and tenants' grievances be handled. See, here's the question. If I have a 100-unit apartment building, we covered this in chapter 12, 100-unit apartment building, is it wise that I manage everything myself? It's not. So maybe hiring a property manager will be the better choice. If you have a two-family, should you hire a property manager? Do you think it's going to be financially viable for you to do that? You're going to have profits? Most likely not. So that's where this comes in, sweat equity. Sweat equity means you're doing the work yourself in order to make the asset profitable. You're the one that's going to paint the rooms. You're the one that's going to fix the basic stuff, right? And when I say basic, try not to do electrical or plumbing. So basic stuff, painting, changing doorknobs, changing door locks, whatever. New keys, replacing filters in the AC, replacing light bulbs when somebody moves and putting everything properly, replacing whatever basic stuff, right? You have to do that to make it profitable. If the investment was not good to start with, you're going to have a lot of sweat equity to do. You guys got it? Any questions? Drop questions in the chat if you have it. No? Okay. So, the investment. Pay attention. The investment itself. Now, property held for appreciation is generally expected to increase in value and to show a profit when sold at some future date. Income property is property held for producing income as well as profit on its sale. So here's my question. Ready? Which one would you rather have? Property for appreciation or income property for income and profit on the sale? Let me know in the chat. Would you rather have appreciation or income property? Okay. Gil says appreciation, just to go against everybody else. Okay. Heather appreciation, Talia appreciation. I do. Steven likes appreciation. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Not as much as I appreciate Nicole right now, but yeah, I appreciate you. What else? All right. I think we got great answers here. Now, those of you that wrote appreciation, do you understand what appreciation is? It's an increase in value. I got it. I understand what you're saying here. Yeah. Appreciation is more value. Okay. But I know what you're saying here. I don't have to deal with tenants. Got it. But is it the best you can do with your money? You have to understand one thing. An appreciating property, like a single family home, for instance, an appreciating property is an expense every single month. It might be increasing in value, but it's an expense every single month. An income property, it brings you monthly income and appreciates over time. So it does both. Profit at the time of sale and income every single month. Okay? Depends on how bad the tenants are. Income is income. If they're bad, kick them out. Simple. Income is income. All right? Look, it's not only me saying it. The wisest initial investment for a person who wishes to buy and personally manage real estate may be the purchase of rental income property. So let's do this. wisest initial investment, rental income property. Simple. It pays itself off instead of being an expense. It pays itself off, hopefully, if you do it right. It pays itself off. It gives you a return. We're going to talk about return in a second. Right? And increases in value. Heather goes, hold on, let me go here. Absolutely, expense, expense, expense. If you're fixing stuff all the time, you're having to deal with difficult people. All right, so remember when I said that real estate is easy, right? And it's great and very rewarding. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is if you buy it at the right price, you're going to have to deal maybe with some headaches along the way. I've done it, and I still deal with it along the way, right? But the reward of being able to sell and something was being paid versus me paying all the time, right? Imagine if I'm putting $3,000 every month into a mortgage for 10 years, $3,000 every month into a mortgage in 10 years. Then I sell it and I made $20,000, $30,000 profit. Was it worth it? Versus I have to deal with difficult tenants for like a month or two, kick them out, get new tenants, right? It paid itself off. I never paid those $3,000 every month, ever, right? Give me some type of return, even if it's $200 a month, right? And when I sell it in the future, it's worth $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 because there's income versus expense. Which one would be best? See, if you don't know how to, no offense, I have this issue. If you don't know how to deal with tenants, with difficult tenants, that's why we get attorneys. That's why we get property managers at one point, right? I suck at this, by the way. I suck at dealing with tenants. That's why I assign other people to do it. It's a lot easier. I suck at dealing with them because they cry a little bit. I'm like, okay, fine. You don't have to pay this month. I understand. Yeah, I'm sucker. I know. You know what I'm saying? But the reward is great. And that's the other reason why I started shifting everything to Section 8. Go ahead, destroy the house. You destroy the house, you lose the benefit. Simple. And if you don't pay me, don't worry. I'm not waiting for you to pay me. The government pays. You see what I'm saying? So it's a matter of where are you buying? What type of tenant do you have? What type of income is coming in? Is it worth buying? I switched mentalities. I switched mentalities from people. Like, I want to buy an investment property. Okay, where do you want to buy? Well, it has to be a nice area. Well, nice areas don't give you the nice rewards. Let's go to the rough areas. The ones that are being improved without you having to do anything. And government pays for that rental. That's where you want your property. That's where you get the maximum return to begin with. Then you can slowly upgrade the type of property you have. But meanwhile, you're making $500 to $1,000 clean every month. You get 2 or 3 properties like these, and it's a nice side hustle, right? Just saying. Deal with the headaches. My very first property, guys, before I go through whatever's here, my very first property almost made me quit real estate. Okay, so 15 years ago, almost 16 years ago, my very first property almost made me quit real estate. My first tenant, my very first tenant, almost 9 months without paying. All right, and I didn't quit because I saw, well, desperate at the time, but I still saw the reward. If other people are making money, then I have to make money. Almost lost it. They were in foreclosure, the properties. Not ashamed to admit they were in foreclosure, right? So over time, learn how to do these things. I've had difficulty with a few properties, still have difficulty with a few tenants. That's just like every other business. Nothing is peachy all the time. But the rewards, those are great. Let's see what we got here. And again, it's not because this is a real estate class, because I also talk about the insurance. I'll talk about other types of investments. And insurance is another thing that should go with this. Great investments as well as insurance. If you don't have insurance, life insurance, You're wasting money if you don't have life insurance. All right. And you have to put into dealing with it. I pay myself a lot, so not worth it. You pay yourself a lot. That's it. Renters can be really bad. Sure. Guns? Carlos? Where's Carlos? Right there. Guns? What do you mean guns? Where did this come from? Do I have anything here that talks about crime? And it says guns. Heather says Section 8 guaranteed rent. Yep. Yep, Gil, you remember that, right? Newark, Harrison, JC, yep. You don't have to live there for a year first, so it's not. So, Joe, there are exceptions. We talked about this in FHA. There are some exceptions where you might be able to leave before the 1 year is up. But even if you have to live there for 1 year, it's a blink of an eye. I don't know, like, Joe, I'm not going to ask how old you are, but I think after a certain age, you blink and it's 5 years later. So what's 1 year? Living there, dealing with things for 1 year, what's that? Nothing. Okay? Do you have to do something to accept Section 8? No. Anyway, do you have to do something to accept Section 8? No. You don't. But if you don't want Section 8, if you legally want to reject Section 8, I mentioned this in Chapter 4, you have to go to Section 8, to the Housing Authority, and you have to tell them, I don't want to be part of the Section 8 program. They'll make you sign a document that it's not because of discrimination, that it's not because of this, that's not because of that. And once you sign that document, you're off that list. Okay, so now you can put in your ads, no Section 8 allowed. Now you can, at that point. It's no longer discrimination because you opted out of the program. And they explained to you why it's good, and you still said why you don't want it. It's not because of discrimination. It's because you just don't want to be part of that type of program. Simple. There you go. 3 months went by and you still did not fully unpack. Yep. So all we have to know for appreciation is that it increases value. Appreciation, yeah, increase in value. Where income property is income every month plus appreciation. Okay? So remember when I said 9 out of 10 times I convert somebody from wanting to buy a single family to buying a multi? Okay, very important. Income. If one tenant leaves, it's okay. You still got 2 or 3. But if you're in a single family and one of you loses your job, who's going to pay for the mortgage? It's the risk. Okay, there's risk, there's reward. Like Meredith said, nothing is perfect. Yep, there you go. All right, next. Cash flow. What is cash flow? So cash flow is pretty much the amount of money that's left over or not at the end of the day. Cash flow. Right? So at the end of the month, when you pay off all your debts, you receive the income, the rental income, and you paid off all your debts. Right? How much money is left? Are you still paying towards a mortgage, or are you getting money back? If it's a single family, I can tell you, negative cash flow every single month. If it's a multifamily, sometimes you have negative cash flow because you bought it at the wrong price with the wrong type of rental market. But the idea behind income property is exactly cash flow, spendable income. Cash flow, spendable income, positive cash flow. But you could have negative cash flow because it's not enough to cover expenses. Do you think a property with negative cash flow is a good investment? No. Peter, you want to know what's a good investment? A property with positive cash flow, period. That's the best way I can say it. Good investment. A property with positive cash flow. How do you determine positive cash flow? Well, the rental income is higher than the mortgage payout, than the utility payout. That's it. That's what you have to figure out. Vanessa is giving out cash. Where was that? Oh, she was throwing money? Okay. Oof. Listen, after the ice cream, it's the next best thing. 18 Oliver Street? Just kidding. GRM. Would GRM help you figure out that income? Well, when you go buy a property that's an income property, use a tool called rentometer. Or rentometer, whatever way you want to say it. I really don't care. Thermometer, rentometer, rentometer. They have a pause, like there's like a dash there, so rent dash o dash meter. So anyway, use rentometer. It'll evaluate what's close by and based on the 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, whatever. And you're going to figure out the average rental for that type of property. Now do the math. If a 2-bedroom brings $2,000 here in the Ironbound section, 2-bedroom, right? And there's a 2-family, so that's $4,000. Let's look at the mortgage. If you're buying it for $700, $800, which is like the current values here, it's ridiculous. What is going to be the mortgage amount? At least $5,000, unless you put a hefty down payment, but at least $5,000. So if the rental income is $4,000, but you have to pay $5,000, then you're negative. You're negative $1,000 every single month, and we're still not talking about utilities, because there's common areas that you pay, like water. You pay the water, the maintenance to clean the stairs or manage the whatever's common, right? Think about it. Is that a good investment? No. In a growing market, maybe. You suffer a little bit now in order to sell in the future. If we're in a plateau, that we've reached a plateau like we've done now, where it might not increase that much more, or it might even start decreasing, right? Now you shouldn't be buying any house based on $800,000 anymore. It's going to be worth $850 or $900. No. Now you just really got to make sure, can the rent support a mortgage on $800,000? Simple. Okay. Let's see. Thanks, Crystal. Peter says, if I plan to sell within the year of purchase, is it smart to put a high down payment or after? Okay. High down payments, a lot of you probably going to disagree with me, or a lot of people could disagree. High down payments, if unnecessary, they're a waste of money. That's why I say that if your first opportunity is 1 to 4 family FHA with a 3.5% down payment, jump at the 4 family. Start with the highest ranking one with the lowest amount of down payment. If you got the cash, use the cash for other things. You can use the cash to improve the property so you can get higher rents, for instance. If you buy a property that's outdated. You can use the cash because then it's a direct increase in cash flow. You can charge higher rents. Does that make sense? Use the cash to invest in something that's giving you that's hedged against inflation, like a universal life insurance, for instance, as an example, or an annuity or whatever, where you get 6, 7, 8% return on your money versus spending 6% every year. Do you see what I'm saying? If you're putting into the house and it's just dumped there and it takes forever for you to be able to cash out. If you put into something that appreciates while this one is expense, then eventually, so let's say life insurance, 20 years later, you have the value, as an example, you have the value that you paid to the house, you have it in cash value as well because of compound interest. And then you cash that out, you pay it off the rest what it is, if you want, or just keep on increasing. Ride it to the rest of the lifetime of the loan. All right, but this is not the class for that. I'm talking about investments and shouldn't. Let's focus on this part. All right. So positive cash flow is what everybody wants, not negative cash flow. Negative cash flow is the appreciating properties or bad investment income properties. Now, what I want you guys to know about cash flow, if we want to learn about investment, I just want to make two quick references and then we'll move forward. And if you go to my site, the student portal, I have a library of recommended books. You want to know about cash flow? Get this book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Okay? Simple. You want to know about cash flow? That's the book. Okay? And he also has another thing called cash flow games. That's the other reference I give in every single time that I'm doing this chapter. Cash flow game, which is Monopoly on steroids. It helps you understand real life application of salary and property investment to get out of the rat race. Because that's where we are for 40 years to get 40% of your income at the end in the rat race. Okay? So make sure you guys get this book. You can get it for free, PDF. These all are links to Amazon just in case you guys want to buy it. But as a reference, search for PDF, search for audio. I listen to audio. I don't read the books. I have them here, but I just read these. I just listen to these books. I don't care how you do it, but this is my recommended library, and it's kind of in order. Start with why, so you figure out why you do something. Rich Dad, Poor Dad for a foundation. Okay, for those of you afraid. Great book. What if it does work out? Okay. A lot of you are like, oh, what if this doesn't work out? The question is, what if it does work out? Okay. Purple Cow, Stand Out. Very important for connections. Okay. Very important for connections. Influence as well. Being decisive. Getting past the no. So dealing with no's, it's very important. And so on. So it's kind of in order, so please don't try to buy books and skip them. If you're going to go through this, they're in order. There's a reason. Once you reach this point, once you've read this book right here, Entrepreneur Mind, then you have to 10x it. Like put 10 times the effort into something if you really want to succeed. Right? And so on. Got it? So anyway, great books. If you can get to them, yes. If you don't want it, if you don't want to read, then get the audiobook. Most of them YouTube for free for the audio. And so on. Let's see. What do I have here? Chat. Gil, I put it right here, which you just made a statement. I put it at the end, almost towards the end. It's not a book for you to read today. You should start with why. Because if you don't know why you do something, then you don't know what you're doing or how to do it. Okay? Scrib.com has audio and textbooks for less than, yep. Scrib or even the Audible, the Amazon one as well. Almost all these books are available on YouTube for free. Okay, if you want to have the audio. So I'm not, look, the links that are there is not about, like, it's not a library for me to make money. It's references. So you can go there and get the book so you don't have to search. It's there. Or, as I told you, Google for the PDF, free version. Some of them are available. Or Google for on YouTube for the audio. You also have SoundCloud has the audio. You have, Crystal just put Scribd as an example. Heather, which one is for the CIA training? I'm telling you, she's been investigating me. Oh, understanding people? Yeah. Well, any of these. You understand their why? Easy to investigate. Any of these. Hold on, sorry. So again, why? This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, right here, another one. All of these have some type of fundamentals that are shared between each book. So they're all very helpful to analyze other people. This one. Anyway. All right, so I made a comment on every, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I made a comment on every single book, single button. Oh, I see you, Vanessa. Great books right there. Rich Dad and How to Influence People. But if you guys notice, each button has a little something to it. This one, I'm not a guy that likes to curse, but that's why I wrote Sorry for the Strong Words. But it's a great book. Stop thinking. Gary Vee says it all the time. Why do you care about what other people think? Right? Simple. The moment you start not caring, that's what it says, not caring about what other people think, that's the moment you start succeeding. Simple. Anyway. I won't, Steven. Good try. Okay. Good? So, those are two great books to get. Let's go to Pyramiding Through Refinancing. Now, what is pyramiding through refinancing? Right here, by holding and refinancing using equity and appreciation buildup, rather than selling or exchanging already owned properties, an investor's holdings can be increased without investing of any additional capital. So that's what I was saying. Your first investment could be the only investment you need. Now, this practice is known as pyramiding. By reinvesting and doubling his or her holdings periodically, it is conceivable that an investor who started with a small initial cash down payment, like 3.5% maybe, could own heavily mortgaged properties worth hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars with sufficient, this is the key, with sufficient cash flow to cover all costs. If market values hold steadily or increase, the income derived from such assets could pay off the various mortgage debts and show a handsome profit. The problem is declining markets. If you're in a declining market, you might have to tap into your reserves in order to pay for the negative cash flow. Sometimes it happens. All right? But the idea of pyramiding is piggybacking on one property to get another property. So, with that being said, this is what it is. I always give this example. Okay? In 2006, and this is talking about the market as it was before. For those of you that were in high school in 2009, I'm going to explain to you what happened. In 2006, let's say I bought a 4-family for $200,000, which was possible in certain areas. Right? In 2007, market prices were going up, so the value of your property went up. And you were able to cash out by refinancing. You cashed out $100,000. 2008, there was still an increase in the market because the stock market crashed, not the real estate market. See, real estate, I've been saying this, takes a long time to adjust to everything else, right? So do you think real estate has adjusted to what we've been going through already? No. So I was telling actually my business partner the other day, Pedro, I was telling him that the default rate went from 2.3 to 7.76%. So people stopped paying mortgages already, like a lot of people. So that means that we are at the same peak that we were in 2007. Just saying. 7.76 defaults. Now, in 2008, like I said, it still increased in price, so we were able to take another $50,000. By April, so early of 2009, by April 2009, market crashed. But until April, I was still able to take another $30,000. So in total, I have a $380,000 mortgage. Now, what happened back then, I don't have here on this screen, but what happened back then is I would take $100,000, but I would buy a car because I needed a car. I would go on vacation because I needed vacation. I would buy all the clothes that I could wear because I needed to look good, right? So we would waste $100,000, which is easy, right? And I'll tell you what, making $1 million is the easiest thing in the world. Keeping it is the hardest thing. So you cashed out $100,000. You wasted $100,000. You cashed out $50,000. I need another vacation. I need another car, second car. I need my motorcycle. I need my Louis Vuitton bag. I need my, you see what I'm saying? So just wasting, losing value, losing value, losing value. And that's why when market crashed in 2009, a lot of people went into foreclosure. There's too many defaults. Why? Because they were just taking money, and not reinvesting it. The concept of pyramiding is you are taking money, like you're trying to juice out as much as you can out of one property. But if you use that money and dump it into other properties, then you're doubling the amount of properties you own, right? And the amount of income you get. So if the market crashes, like it did in 2009, you still owe the $380,000, but your property's worth $180, right? Are you stressed about it if you've done this? No, because the rentals of all these properties pay for the property. If you want to sell, you're not able to sell. But if you guys understand what market is a cycle. Every 10 to 15 years, there's the adjustment right here. See? It went down and then it went up. We're back to the prices that we were in 2008, 2009. You understand? So if you're able to hold on to the property, it doesn't matter if it's undervalued. It's a rental. The rentals still come in. So when it turns downside up, guess what? You owe 380. Now the property is worth 400. Can you sell it? Yeah. But meanwhile, you've been collecting every single month for the past 10 to 15 years. Did you guys understand that? All right. So, any questions before I move forward? Okay, because what I was trying to say here, very simple, is stop wasting your money in stuff you don't need. And just like Vanessa said, you don't need what you want. Okay? Simple. Stop wasting money. Invest money. Daphne has a question. Good. Your dad can tell you about 2009. So, I got affected. All right? So I'm not going to say I'm Superman here talking about this stuff. Is what I've learned from mistakes. Okay? Okay. Daphne, you sure? Because pyramid simply means your increases in value and you're able to refinance and cash out. That's all it means. Talia says, how does stop paying mortgage affect the real estate business? Well, if enough people stop paying mortgage, then there's going to be a lot of foreclosures. If there's a lot of foreclosures like before, then prices go down. There's a lot of inventory. The banks are going to have to find a way to release it into the market. So that's short sales or actual foreclosure. The moment there's a lot of inventory, we talked about this yesterday. If there's too much supply, right, that doesn't match the demand, what will happen to prices? They drop. The problem is right now we have a lot of demand, or maybe the good thing is we have a lot of demand. So as soon as the inventory comes on the market, it will drop but not as much. Do you see what I'm saying? Versus 2008, 2009, where there was a demand, but there was also a lot of inventory. So, you see what I'm saying? Now it's going to be different. There's no inventory, a lot of demand, and all of a sudden we match all of them. So for realtors, it's going to be great. You got a guy's going to have a lot of business if you pay attention. But then the rent will go down. Yes and no. In certain markets, rental could go down, yes. In others, no. So if you think about it, areas to invest, like Gary said before, Harrison, Kearney, Jersey City, Newark, for instance. Because we're right next to New York and people are fleeing New York, doesn't matter where you go, they still pay less than what they pay in New York. So yeah, you still have a never-ending source of rental income. Okay, so I don't think the rentals will be affected that much. House values, yes. Rentals, probably not. Okay? You guys good? Great. Yeah, they might go up, yeah. Actually, let me address what Chad just said right now. Chad just wrote, if anything, rentals will go up. There's, if we think about millennials and on, right? A lot of them are choosing not to own. They're choosing luxury rentals. That's why we start seeing a lot of luxury rentals around. That's what they're choosing. So because of luxury rentals, everything is going up in value. Where they charge $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for a rental in the residential, they're going to have to up a little bit to $2,500, $2,600, and so on. So there's going to be a stabilization there of the rental market. I don't think it's going to go down, like I was saying. It might not go down at all. If anything, like Chad just said, it might actually go up in certain areas. We go back to the same thing. Location, location, location. So Kearney, Harrison, Jersey City. So anything along the train, right, might not be affected at all. It might actually even go up in rentals. So if you haven't invested, I'm giving you all the hints of where to invest. Okay? Just make sure you find the right values. All right. That was it. And now, complicated stuff. Tax. Ready? I recommend some of you, based on what I see, I recommend some of you to get up, jump up and down, do some jumping jacks. Mina Fozzie, go do some jumping jacks. Yanessa, you're like, Crystal, go, jumping jacks. Let's get the blood flowing, because now we're going to go into taxes. Luz, go do some jumping jacks too. All right. Me, I'm in the sugar rush right now. So I'm good. Thanks, Nicole. All right, next. Yeah, Steven is funny. He's doing jumping jacks sitting. Yeah. All right, tax benefits. What are the tax benefits of investing in real estate? There's a difference between investment property and your primary residence. So what are the benefits of taxes in investment properties? Is that you might be able to deduct the expenses. See, in residential property that you own, so if it's your primary property, you might not be able to deduct many things. Probably nothing at all, other than interest on the mortgage. All right, there might be a question later on about this, just saying. Now, if it's an investment property, you can deduct almost any expense to it, because an investment property is like you being an independent contractor. It's a business. So all the expenses towards the business might be deductible. You guys got it so far? Okay, great. The problem is, when somebody has a business, why do I relate this to business? When somebody has a business, especially if it's a cash business, what do a lot of people do? They bury as much expenses as they can because it's cash. Who's going to control it, right? The problem is you might be subjected to alternative minimum tax. every time you guys try to, like a write-off, every time you guys try to write off or deduct too much, it's a red flag. And if you get hit with AMT more than once, it's a red flag. And they can order you 3 years. If they suspect a fraud, they open up the books up to 10 years. And depending on what kind of fraud you're committing, they can even ask a judge to open up for more than that. So let's look at everything they've done, right? And their associates, by the way. Starts opening up a big investigation. Right, Miss CIA? Yep, okay. So I'll make sure. I don't like to mess with Texas people because, investigating my profile and stuff. Anyway, next. Exchanges. Guys, who can tell me, actually, let me do this. Without reading the book, because I'm not talking about real estate now, okay? I will address this in a second. It applies both to real estate, insurance, mutual funds, 401ks, and so on. Exchanges apply to it. But my question is, get help from CPA. My question is, what is an exchange? Forget real estate. What is an exchange? Who can tell me what is an exchange? Go. A trade, a swap, give one thing for another. So now here comes my question. Bilateral. That's right. It's a bilateral agreement. I give to you, you give to me. We agree. Great. Now, here's the question now. Ready? She didn't miss the class. She's there. I don't know if you're seeing it. Well, Nicole, yes, Nicole's there. She didn't miss the class. She came all the way here, Luz, okay? She didn't, see? Look at that. Look at that face. Not even, That's how you do it. All right. So my question is, if it's an exchange, was there any profit? If it's an exchange, this for that, was there any profit? No private stuff. It still shows up. A good one. If it's an exchange, if it's a trade, this for that, you're not supposed to have a profit. It's exchange, this for that. For instance, you guys go work? Are you employees? If so, you're exchanging time for money. There's no profit. That's why you don't pay capital gains on your income. You got it? It's an exchange. It's whatever you're worth, and they're giving you that worth in, you give it in time, and they give it to you in money. That's why sometimes you hate working? Oh, trading time for money, yeah. So this is you working for money. You have to learn how to make money work for you. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Just saying. There's a lot more books. I can give you like gazillion books for you to read, but this one, definitely the best one to start with. So Moses, 1031 exchange, no profit. Absolutely. I don't care about the 1031 exchange because there's 32, 33, 34, 35, depending on what type of investment it is, but it has to be towards investment. This is Internal Revenue Code exemptions, and they exist for all types of investments. But what they say is very simple. It has to be like kind exchange. So if it's an investment property, you can exchange for another investment property. You got it? If it's a 401k, it's a variable product, you have to exchange for another or transfer over to another variable product. So it has to be of like kind, okay? Steven says, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Great. So you paid attention to Carlos. Good. All right. So here's what you guys need to understand. When you guys roll over your 401k, if you guys know what a 401k is, it's a contribution to company's money. It's not your money, it's company's money. So you get a certificate that says, hey company, if you make money, I get a return because I get a profit out of it because I helped you. But I can only cash that profit at a certain period of time, 59 and a half. So when you reach 59 and a half, you can start cashing out, penalty free. But as it accumulates, right, and I'm not going to get into too many details here because this is not the insurance class, or investment class, but as it accumulates gains, compound gains over the years, now you're having a profit. It's not an exchange anymore. There's a profit. The thing that happens with 401ks and IRAs and so on is that profit is deferred until later. Okay? So if you have a savings account, you're taxed this year. Okay? And whatever profits, minimal profits you've made. If you have a 401k, you have or IRA or so, you could get taxed later. Okay? At one point when you start cashing out. And there are some products that virtually you don't have to pay any taxes. They fall under Internal Revenue Code as well. But this one we're saying here exchange is like 401k for another 401k, 401k for another variable type of investment product, and so on. So like kind. What you need to understand is that you're not paying taxes this year. It's deferred, but it's not eliminated. So we're not saying tax-free with this type of product. We're not saying tax-free. We're just saying, hey, you know what? You did not make money, so leave it to the end. Don't worry about it. Okay? So if you sell the property that you actually exchanged it with, right? If you sell that property, then capital gain is taxed. In capital gain, we'll talk about it later, it's profit. So whatever profit you had in the first property, when you exchange to the next property, because you didn't cash out, and that's the key, not cashing out, because you didn't cash out, then it was an exchange. You did not have profit. Okay? But when you sell the second property, whatever profit came from the first one rolled over into the second one and is now added to the value of that second one. If you lose, then it's adjusted when you go do your taxes. You got it? So that's why this is also an old saying from a few of these investors, including Robert Kiyosaki. That's why your life in terms of investments should be very simple. Defer, 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 die. If you keep on deferring, like rolling over your profits into the next property and the next investment and the next investment, if you keep on rolling over, right, then did you cash out? Did you really profit? No. You got it? So that's what the concept is in exchanges. You defer until you can't defer no more. Gary says it sounds like those student loans. Yep. Well, Heather, great. Love it. Okay. Heather goes, but I want to spend the money I just made. Right? Because that's what a lot of people do. I need my money. It's my money and I want it now. Who got the jingle? Sorry. Always. So, on shoes. Really? Okay. So that's the poor dad. Yeah, there you go. Here's the thing. You want to take money out and not pay penalties? Lines of credit. Simple. Or the rental income. Just don't touch the profit. Always upgrade the properties. Get into a better property, and the better property, and the better property. Higher returns, higher returns. You got it? That's it. Simple. Heather, call Gary. He can help you with the money. Or there you go. Whole life policy, even though I don't like whole life policies. Don't like them at all because you pay for your whole life. I don't know who told you about whole life, Jobo, but here, listen. Your whole life paying. You're going to be 100 years old still paying. Just saying. All right, anyway. Going back to this because we're in real estate. So tax deferred, again, has to be like kind, saying again, right? That means that the properties Um, the properties involved must be a like kind, that is income or investment property. Now, what we're saying here is that if you're moving across the country, right, and you find somebody that wants to move as well, you can exchange properties with that somebody out there, and they exchange with you. So exchange properties, but they have to be of like kind. See, if I have to pay capital gains on the sale, capital gain tax on the sale of this property, then it reduces the amount of cash that I have available to dump into the new property. So I might not have enough to reinvest my money. That's why this exemption exists. By swapping the two properties, there's no immediate tax consequence. So it just rolls over to the next investment. The gain on the first one is not tax exempt. We already said that. But it could be postponed indefinitely. And then, as I said earlier, it's going to be added on the second property when it's sold sometime in the future. Okay. Tidy, can you find properties to exchange? Okay, we don't call it swap properties. Okay, properties to exchange. Anyway, so right here, here's the good news. So let's address Tidy so we can forget what she just wrote. It's not always necessary for you to find swap properties to exchange, okay? It's not always necessary to find properties to exchange. Section 1031, as Moses was saying, Section 1031 of Internal Revenue Code allows an investor to sell one investment and buy another outright, with no necessity to find an owner who wants to swap. Okay? So all you have to do is I sell property A and I roll that money into property B. It was my property and I'm buying my property. I did not exchange with anybody. So Section 1031, that's why I talked about 401ks before. Because if you have a 401k and you move to a different company, right, and you want to roll your from the old company's 401k to this company's 401k, you can. It has to be 401k to 401k, and it's still yours. You got it? Here's the same thing. Property A, you sell, you take the money and buy property B. So there's no swapping. This exchange is a property for a property, but your investment. Daphne, that's what I was trying to say right now. That's what makes it difficult. Hold on. Let's go here. Yes, yes, and yes. This is one of the reasons right here where it makes it difficult for an exchange to happen. Different values, different areas, different everything, right? That's why you have the opportunity to, even within the same town, just roll the money into a new property, because this is very difficult to find. Okay? There's not many people announcing out there, hey, you guys want to swap? Right? Not many. But identifying another property that you want to buy and just rolling over the money, it's a lot easier. Questions? Okay. So the investor, very important. The investor must identify, state exam question, must identify the intended purchase within 45 days of selling and complete the purchase within 180 days. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is property A sold in January 1st, okay? Within the first 45 days of January 1st, within the first 45 days, I have to be able to say, well, you know what? I found property B. I sold it. Within 45 days, I found property B. Within 180 days of the January 1st, within 180 days, I have to complete the whole purchase. You got it? So you have a total of 6 months from sale of property A to closing or purchase of property B to do this exchange. 45 days to identify, 180 days to complete. That's the only way you get this exemption. This is strictly for investment properties. If it's income properties, before somebody asks, if it's primary properties, owner occupied, you don't have to pay capital gains if the profit is less than 250 for single, or if the profit is less than 500 for a couple. All right, but that's for primary. We're talking about investments in this chapter. Okay, investment properties. All right, so let's address Daphne, what she said. What about the difference in property values? Absolutely. So when the property is being bought, okay, right here, the replacement property, if it costs less than the one being sold, then the difference in price is known as boot. What happens is, Meredith, yes, it's not 180 months, it's a week, days. You have 6 months. So, boot. So you sold a property for $500,000, and the property you're buying is $350,000. Whatever's left, the difference, the $150,000, is booted out of the exemption. Therefore, you have to be taxed immediately on that difference. That difference in price is boot. Okay? So if you don't use all the money that we had in the property that we sold, if we don't use all the money, then you have to pay taxes on whatever's left over, whatever you cashed out. Remember, the key thing is not cashing out. The moment you cash out, the moment you put money in your pocket, that's it. You're done. You pay taxes, capital gains. Got it? All right, Gary's question coming through. Yanessa has a question too. Come on. I see you're drawing a blank. I saw that. Okay, whenever you remember, just ask. Yanessa, you're typing. I see that. Can you put the money in an attorney trust account if you can't find the property to avoid paying taxes? In fact, great question. Here's the answer. You actually cannot touch the money. During the 6 months, if you want to be exempted during the 6 months, the money must be held by a third party. So in a trust account or escrow account. All right? But if after 6 months you did not find anything, you did not close, then the money is released to you. Now you pay capital gains on whatever money it is. Yep. Okay. All right. Maybe. I'll address that right now. Meredith, I'm sorry, not an LLC, a CT? What's a CT? Oh, no. The moment you cash out, you pay capital gains. So it traditionally stays with whoever the escrow agent was. If it was the buyer's attorney, or if it was the title company, that's usually where it stays. Okay? So I'm going to talk about capital gains right now, Vanessa, and it will explain what you're going to pay. Okay? So it says right here, capital gains. Capital gain is the taxable profit. period. Capital gains, taxable profit. So there's profit and there's taxable profit. There's a difference between these. Now, in real estate, it is the difference between the adjusted basis of the property and its net selling price. At various times, tax laws have excluded a portion of capital gains from income tax. In order to qualify for favorable long-term capital gains tax treatment, the asset must have been owned for the required length of time, known as the holding period. In 2017, the holding period for long-term capital gain treatment was more than 1 year. I've been saying this for several years, so some of you might remember this, those that were in my class before. Finally, I've been teaching this same book. This is the third edition that I'm teaching, and there's a 14th edition coming, right? And only now did they correct where it says more than 1 year. They finally, in the new version, already says a year and a day. Because it's not 1 year, it's 1 year and 1 day. And if you guys watch my previous classes, I always say that, a year and a day. So what is a long-term period, holding period? You kept the property for 1 year and you sold it the day after the 1 year anniversary. From there on, it's long-term. And what is the long-term treatment? Maximum of 15%. So if your profit was $100,000, then how much do you have to pay in taxes if it was long-term? Well, $15,000, 15% of it. You got it? But anything that's less than 12 months, okay, anything less than 1 year is taxed at 25%, just like depreciation is taxed at 25%. So guys, if you buy a property today and you sell it tomorrow, and you have profit, how much are you going to pay? Are you going to pay 15 or 25%? How much would you pay? You guys are all wrong. All of you. All of you are wrong. You buy a property, fix it, hold on to it for less than a year, sell it. How much do you pay in taxes? Have you not learned anything? Come on, my people. Gary's right. Why? Gary, explain why, please. You don't know, you just guessed? Because I was taking so long to give you the answer? Great. I love honesty, by the way. How much do you pay? Just gotta be smart. Would you rather pay 15%, 25%, or nothing? Roll it into the next property. That's what I'm saying. Tricky, isn't it? For state exam, it would be 15%. In real life, guys, roll it as much as you can. As much as you can. Got it? Defer, 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 defer. And guys, eventually you will die. So make sure you die without owing anything. We're going to talk about that in chapter 20. Crystal says, not me, I'm not dying. Ever. So I guess we'll meet each other in the next 1,000 years because I haven't died since. So Another 1,000 years? Let's do it. Leave the taxes for the kids to pay, sure. $25%, sorry. 11 months, 25%. 10 months, 25%. 5 months, 25%. But if you guys get a CPA, what is the question you're going to ask the CPA? How can I reduce the amount of taxes I have to pay, right? And the answer is going to be put everything under LLCs and an S corp, and then you pay dividends to yourself, and then for you deduct, it's a deduction versus an expense versus income. So no capital gains to pay, no profits to pay. Yep. Peter, if that face was at what I said right now, I know. This is not the investment class, so I just threw something out there. The Berkshire Hathaway way. Absolutely. That's why at one point he was the richest man alive. And then we have Jeff Bezos, $13 billion in one day. Gains. All right. Peter, are you asking a question or are you just... Okay, I just want to make sure because I saw your face, but I didn't know if you were typing. One of these years. Meredith says, if you keep on rolling, where will you get your expenses? What do you mean? There's always an expense. It's an investment property. There's always an expense. Everything is an expense. There's vacancies, right? There's repairs. We're going to talk about that as well. Peter, CPA, not me. Get a best friend, CPA. Your financial status, the reason is this, guys. Okay, so here's the question from Peter real quick. Do you buy the do you get the LLC before the purchase? Here's the thing. You might not even have to do an LLC. I recommend always an LLC. Some CPAs and some investors, they talk about one LLC for everything. I make an LLC for each one of the properties. Do you understand? So I'm a little crazy with that, but I prefer to do it, even though I'm holding for a short period of time. But every single property is held under its own LLC. Now, my financial situation, different than your financial situation. My financial security or stability or safety nets towards when I retire or when I die are different than yours. I don't know what you have. You don't know what I have. I don't know what anybody else here has. So I cannot give you tax advice on how to prepare yourself for investments. Does that make sense? I can tell you what I do, but that's just my opinion. And even professionals sometimes disagree with my opinion. It's been working so far. That's the only thing I can say. Got it? Okay. LLC for everything. Meredith. I'm sorry. What do you want me to explain? Lost it. Sorry. Where's Meredith? All right, Meredith says, why different LLC on each property? LLCs are shields, if you guys remember. They're shields. We talked about this in Chapter 7. They're shields, so they separate liability. They protect each business and each person. So if I have, like for instance, I have, Gil, you probably remember this. Riley, maybe you remember this as well, and Luz. I have a business which is called Bruno Quintella LLC. It's my first name, my last name LLC. So everything I do on behalf of the business. All my LLCs are owned by the LLC and so on. So the idea is, it doesn't matter if it's same owners. Think about it this way. If somebody slips and falls in front of 102 Main Street, right? And you own as an individual 102 Main Street and 104 Main Street under the same, as the same owner, as an individual, right? Then if there's not enough over there, they can come after you on the other one, right? Unless it's a mortgage, which is specific, right? So any general type of lien can go after all your properties. But if it's owned by different LLCs, the LLC is the entity that owns it, not me. You understand, Meredith? I do not own any property. You guys got it? I'll tell you what I own. 50, 75, 6, 7. So $77. And about 300 million. Everything else is owned by companies. Do you understand? I do not own anything. You want to sue me? Go ahead. Good luck. So let me address what Meredith just said. It's the same owners, yes. Unless I commit fraud, which would be piercing the corporate veil, unless I use the corporate money for personal use, then each LLC is separated from the other. You got it? So each property within an LLC has nothing to do with the other. I can think about it this way. Meredith, you have your business, I have my business, and now we become partners in the business. Right? If I screw up in my business, do you have to pay for whatever I screwed up in the business that we're together? The answer is no. But now you're telling me, but it's the same owners. Are you guys understanding what I'm saying? If it was a partnership, then yes, it goes beyond the investment. It goes beyond the business. But a corporation or an LLC, they're shields. So unless there's fraud committed, it does not go through the corporate shield. You got it? That's why you want everything separate. Moses, absolutely. Crystal, maybe. Maybe. There's ways and ways to get paid legally. It doesn't have to be a salary. Should you have a salary? Possibly for self-employment taxes and other future benefits like unemployment and stuff. Could you take a salary out of one of the companies? Yes, absolutely. But create LLC or corporation that's going to be your payroll LLC or payroll corporation. So even that, keep it separate. Like we have New Direction Realty, but as soon as we have employees, the employees will be employed by New Direction Payroll Company, LLC. Simple. Different businesses, different altogether. Okay? So I'm just giving you ideas. I'm not telling you this is what I'm going to do. I'm just giving you ideas that how to separate things so much that if you get sued, it doesn't get to you. Unless you commit fraud. Let's go back to that. Unless you commit fraud. I'm not telling you guys to create all these shields, all these intricate type of situations, so then you can commit fraud and nobody can come after you. No. But to protect yourselves, yes. When I sell the LLC, I close the LLC. Look, it's $175 to open one in Jersey, as an example, right? And it's another $25 or $50 or whatever it is to close it. But even if I spend $500 to open and close, let's say I'm paying somebody to do it for me. Even if I spend $500, I buy a property, fix the property, sell the property. If I don't build into that profit the fact that I have to pay $500, then what kind of investment am I making? Does that make sense? $500 should not be the make it or break it type of thing. Anyway. Moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. Okay. Again, guys, CPAs. Find out your situation. Is it worth it? What are you going to do? Are you going to hold for long term? Is it short term? What are you trying to do? And that's when you determine, should I get an LLC or should I get a corp? Or should I get nothing? It all depends. What are you trying to do? Okay? Now, basis. What is basis? Because the capital gain is the difference between the net profit, or the net sale, I'm sorry, and the basis. Now, basis is how much it costs. Where it says basis, you're going to write cost. Because basis is the initial cost. Basis is the initial cost. Now, we're going to add to the cost any physical improvements. Okay? And we're going to subtract any depreciation claimed. We're going to talk about depreciation in a second. And that's for us to figure out the adjusted basis. Okay? I'm going to show you numbers in a second before you ask. But there's basis is the cost. How much money did I put out? Adjusted basis is the cost minus depreciation, because depreciation is a benefit, as I'll show you later. So how much did it really cost? That's called adjusted basis. So when the property is sold by the investor, the amount by which the sales price exceeds the adjusted basis is the capital gain to be taxable as income. So here's an example with numbers. You guys with me? You guys ready? All right, because I'm going to show you guys, as I do in every single class when I get here, I'm going to show you guys how to break down the questions and guarantee that you'll pass. Ready? This is a perfect example for that. So, first sentence. Ready? Many years ago, an investor purchased a one-family dwelling for use as a rental property. Stop. Let's analyze, because I tell you, you got up to 4 hours. So let's analyze. Many years ago, is this long-term holding period or short-term holding period? Should be easier, right? Long-term. So if it's more than 12 months and 1 day, what would be the capital gain you have to pay? 15%. Correct. Great. You guys are on point. So sentence, stop, analyze. Next. It says the purchase price was $45,000 and the investor is now selling for $100,000. If the question said nothing else, how much profit did this person have? What was their capital gain? $55,000. That was the profit. That was the capital gain. $55,000 because it's $100,000 minus the 45. Okay? So if the question stopped right here, that would be the profit. Now, what is the tax on that profit? You don't have to calculate, but what I'm trying to say is we already determined that it's long term, so it's 15%. We already figured out what was the capital gain. So now 15% of that capital gain is how much you have to pay in taxes. You got it? All right, I see you just ended laughing too much. Is it at me? Is it at stuff in the Perla as well? Crystal, what you got $85,000 from? Are we good? Why would it be 15% on the 100,000? That's not the profit. I'm selling for 100,000. But it cost me 45,000 to buy. Capital gains, or the taxes are based on profit. 100,000 minus the 45. So that's 55,000. And the 15% is out of the 55,000. Okay? But I'm going to show you here in a second. So this question happens to have a little bit more information. So sometimes we have these long questions. And long questions, by the way, guys, in the state exam and school exam, leave it to the end. If they're long questions or if they're math questions, let it be the last thing you do. Always knock out the fast questions first. The small ones, straight to the point, easy to get. Okay? And then you deal with the longer questions. That's a formula to pass right there. Now, right before the sale, whoever the realtor was very smart and told the seller, hey, seller, let's brighten up the house a little bit. Let's freshen up the house a little bit. Let's paint. We'll paint the exterior. Maybe we paint inside. Little landscape, a few little things. So we spent $3,000 to improve the property, and that's why it's worth a little bit more. You got it? Now, if I put $3,000, guys, what was my cost? Sorry. What was my cost if I put $3,000? What was my basis? Steven, what was my basis? Since you got company there, you should know this answer. What was the basis? A little lost in the question, huh? Basis was $45,000 purchase plus the $3,000 improvement. So the basis is the cost, is money that I put in. How much did it cost me to have this property? $48,000. Purchase plus improvements. $48,000. Okay? If it didn't say anything else, this is where you would stop. But there's more to this. It talks about depreciation. Over the years of carrying this mortgage, this property, the investor claimed $10,000 worth of depreciation. Okay? If you guys remember, depreciation is taxed at 25%. But we're going to talk about that later. If I have depreciation, which is a benefit, then what was my adjusted basis? We talked about this a few minutes ago. I put 45 to purchase, 3,000 to improve, but I claimed depreciation over the years. What was my adjusted basis? $38,000. Correct. So we're good so far. $38,000. I'm going to show you the numbers anyway. All right? Now, the investor is also paying 7% in commission and closing costs of $600. Okay? So now, after all this information, we already broke it down pretty much. After all this information, here's the math. First of all, I want you to write gross right here, if you can. Gross. Because selling price is the gross selling price. Okay? That's how much the property sold for. It's not what the seller takes home. So going back to Crystal before with 100,000, they sold it for 100,000, but that's not what they took home. So you can never do your taxes based on what it sold for. Okay? Why? Because the first thing that comes out of it, commission. You cannot tax the seller on commission. You got it? Closing costs. You cannot tax the seller on closing costs. How much did the seller take home after commission, after closing costs? $92,400. You got it? That's how much they took home. So now to figure out how much they have to pay in taxes, we need to figure out how much they put in. And guys, we just went over this. How much did they put in? $38,000, which is original cost plus improvements minus depreciation, $38,000. So what was the profit that they had? Okay. Oh, sorry. Every time you see the words capital gain, profit. What was the profit they had? 54,400, which is the net sales price minus what they put in. The profit was 54,400. Now we got a problem here. How much tax do they pay? If we did not talk about depreciation, they would pay 15% of that number. But because we claimed depreciation, we have to reduce that taxable profit by $10,000. So 44,400 is taxable at 15, but then depreciation is always taxed at 25%. So let me show you again where this was, right here on the left. Remember, depreciation is always taxed at 25%, no matter what. Okay? So this was the math. Crazy chapter, right? Fun. Gary says, I'm not drinking, but I need one after. I did warn you guys. Some of you still don't pay attention to what I say. But I did warn you guys that these later chapters, they can get very complicated. And we're almost done, by the way. So if you're not paying attention, you'll be a problem. If you're always walking around, if you're always distracted with people around you, it's going to be very difficult. Yeah, Steven, don't give me that face. It's not only you, by the way. All right, Chad, that will be state tax rates, correct? Not the U.S. rate. No, this is IRS. Internal Revenue Code. We're talking about Internal Revenue Code. Okay, so yes, they did change, but for states, so that's 2019. But for state exam, we're still dealing with this. Okay. Yeah. No, I know. Actually, even the contributions towards when I teach life and health, for instance, and other type of policies, even contributions have changed, the limits that you can contribute or not. But for exam purposes, exams take a while to adjust. So the last adjustment we had was in December of 2018, and I think there's another one coming. Either next year or the one after. But that's why I keep on talking, like if you guys noticed, even the changes that I just mentioned, that I just got, these changes that are here, even in day one, I told you guys what the changes were. For instance, for referral agent and so on, even from day one. But in the book, still talks about referral agent. In the state exam, still talks about it, even though I already started warning you guys that it might show different. I don't know yet if it will. So far, it hasn't. Still talks about referral agent, never about this. Like right now, they're even including in mortgages. They're including the LIBOR rate. There's no question in the state exam about LIBOR rates yet. You know. But yeah, absolutely. Things have changed. Contributions have changed. percentages change. Yep. Let's see what we have here. Mina, yes, so it was taxed differently. It was taxed differently, one at 15% and one at 25%, because depreciation is always taxed at, because depreciation is claimed every year. All right, depreciation is not claimed based on the lifetime, it's based every year. Depreciation is not claimed at the time of sale, it's every year. So because it's every year, it's based on the short-term holding period. So in this case, 25%. If you remember from yesterday, I'm going to go over this again in the next segment. But if you remember from yesterday, depreciation is because there's, every time you improve the property, there's a lifetime, or due to any cause or condition, there's a lifetime to that item that you improve. You put a roof, the roof usually comes with, let's say, a 30-year warranty, that it will last for 30 years. But we know very well that during those 30 years, you might need to do some maintenance or fixing due to any other cause or condition. Do you understand? So siding needs to be replaced. Sheetrock, plumbing, electrical needs to be replaced. So even though you're making an improvement, that's what allows you to then keep on claiming for investment properties, keep on claiming depreciation. Nicole, listen, as long as you keep on bringing ice cream, we never finish. Like, don't stop. No, we finish next Friday, and then it's the exam after that. Okay. I already explained this right now, Mina, so we're good. So Joseph's asking, why would you claim depreciation and pay more in taxes? So let me explain what depreciation is. It's a benefit that allows you to reduce your taxes for this year because you had that expense or projected expense. So the idea on depreciation is that you're able to reduce your taxable income this year by means of depreciation or expense on the property. Okay. Steven, depreciation is not as much from what I can see, so it doesn't amount to much. Okay. It could be much. It could be, it depends on how much you're allowed to depreciate and what was the investment. Daphne, I'll just explain right now as far as this. Depreciation is not negative. It's a projected expense that the government allows you to recover or benefit from that projected expense, saying, hey, I might have to spend the money. So they divide whatever the cost is, they divide by several years. We're actually going to talk about it right now. And then we'll stop after this and finish tomorrow. But depreciation is an accounting concept that allows you to recover the cost of that expense, which is the cost of improvement over several years. Why do we claim it? Again, as I just said, is to help you reduce your taxable income. So you pay less this year. Unfortunately, you're going to have to pay it all back when you sell. But at least for this year, you're safe. For this year, you pay less. And that's the benefit of depreciation. Yep. You guys got it? All right, so real quick, depreciation, and then this will be tomorrow because it's going to be crazy if I start now. So depreciation. It's an accounting concept right here that allows you to recover the cost of an income-producing asset by way of tax deductions over the period of the asset's useful life. I told you that the roof is a 30-year roof. So we divide that cost because we know we're going to have to maintain it. We divide that cost over several years. Now, okay, so Gary says this example just covered the question he had forgot earlier. Great. So what I was saying is that you're allowed, let's say you have, over the lifetime of a property, you have $200,000 worth of expenses. Okay? The government allows you to recover that expense by being able to deduct every year a portion of that expense. But there's a limit. First of all, only the cost to improvements may be recovered, not the cost of the land itself. So what is the cost of improvement? Anything in the building. The roof, the siding, the garage, the paving, all that is an expense to the building, not to the land itself, because land is land, period. Okay, we covered that yesterday as well. Now, on residential property, they allow you to divide the cost by 27 and a half years. So if you spend $200,000 divided by 27 and a half, and that's how much you can deduct every single year for that expense. See, the way the government works is very simple. If you make money, they ask you to pay all this year. But if you lose money, which is expected from the expense, you have to divide it by several years. They don't allow you to deduct everything at once. Okay? If you make money, if you profit, you're paying the taxes this year. If you lose money, they tell you to divide that loss over several years. You got it? So depreciation allows you to claim the loss over several years. Now, here comes the question for depreciation. Ready? If the question says, John purchased a property and has not made any major improvements over the past 29 years, how much can he recover this year? Just something as simple as that. Let's say he purchased a property and the cost was $300,000. He has not made any major improvements for over 29 years. How much can he claim this year? Okay? The answer is 0, because the max that you can claim is 27 and a half years. So if there's no other improvements, right, then they were limited by the 27 and a half. Beyond that, there's no more depreciation to claim. You guys got it? That's the key in the question. If it's 29 years, the answer is 0. Anything above 27 and a half years, the answer is 0. Okay, and they don't ask about commercial, so don't worry about this. Any questions? Daphne, there's a question. Perla is back. Okay. Thanks, Moses. Just today? Steven, is there a calculation for depreciation when you make improvements? CPA, that's the calculation. But you can also divide it by 27 and a half years and you have your number. So if you spend $10,000, divide that by 27 and a half years. If you have no other depreciation claimed, you might be able to, because it's only 10,000, you might be able to claim more this year. But a CPA will be the best to answer that. Okay. Daphne's still typing. Yep. 27 and a half years. Yep. Peter says, where do you find my CPA? Um, you need a recommendation? All right. Chad says phone book. Go to the yellow pages. Send me a message separately and I'll recommend the CPA for you, okay? It's easy. Whatever you guys need, send me a message first. Say, hey, Bruno, do you have somebody? I might have somebody. You never know. If I don't, I'll tell you also. I don't. Lose Google. There you go. All right, Mina's typing a question. Meanwhile, guys, it's up to you. It's 9:09. If you guys want to leave, you can leave. If you want to stay, you can stay. Vanessa, can I see the math again? I do not have the answer. This math? Good night. Let's see. So if a person, if a person modifies, let me leave this here. If a person modifies his house, he can claim it and pay less taxes for the year. Correct. So that's what depreciation will do. If you put material, if there's another cost to the property in improvements, you can deduct on those improvements every single year. As long as there's improvements. That's why the CPA, when you do your taxes, they ask you, have you done any improvements to the property? They put it on their software and automatically calculates the max that you can claim that year as depreciation. Geraldine, hold on to that question then, if you can. Yanessa says unite. Why would we are united. We're all on the same screen. Next question is why not? Oh, why haven't you done improvements? Got you. Sorry, the ice cream is hitting the brain now. The crash. All right, so Geraldine, I think you can start with your question. Vanessa, you wanted to see the screen again, right? This was not it? It was? You still didn't get it? Okay, what's your question? Go ahead. Good night to everybody else that's leaving. Tidy, improvement and depreciation go in hand. Yes. Every time you make improvements, you're spending money. So there's an additional cost, so additional basis to your investment, right? So it's added to the basis, and therefore you can deduct depreciation every single year. So I put a brand new roof, $200,000, let's say. We're now going to divide that investment divided by 27 and a half years, and that's in plain simple numbers, that's how much I can deduct or depreciate every year. So yes, improvement and depreciation go hand in hand. Absolutely. The more money you put into the property, the more you can depreciate. You put no money into the property, you cannot claim depreciation. Okay? All right, let's see. All right. The money you make from investment property, would you set aside money for taxes and the rest for next investment? So Gary, if you do things right, you don't have to set aside any money for taxes for the property. If you do things right, you'll never have profit. Got it? CPA. Vanessa, I don't understand why. What? You just went gill on me right now. Why you rest the depreciation still been taxable if it's... All right, hold on. So Vanessa, I'll go to you in a second. Hold on, don't leave. Geraldine, let's see. I wanted to know if I can have piercings because I have nose ring and many piercings in my ear. Does it affect the real estate? Because my brother told me I have to take them off and cover my tattoos, but I want to be sure uh, before I take mine out. So, it's not black power. Too white for that, but tattoos. All right. Um, Listen, will it affect? Yes, people, just like I just did this right now, people will perceive you in so many different ways. Just find your people. And when I say find your people, is find your clients that are okay with you being who you are, because sales are sales and sales are personal. I don't care about selling a house to a doctor if I'm not in that class. I'll just be wasting my time and I won't be doing him or her any service. But there's a lot of people that have tattoos, a lot of people that have piercings, a lot of people that don't have them and they're okay with it. And they still need to buy, they still need to sell, they still need to rent. That thing is a thing of the past. Unfortunately, there are still people that will look at you a little weird. Like when I started with the tattoos, I made sure that it was like this. So if I had a long sleeve, it would always cover. It was nothing exposed. We're not in those days anymore. All right? Until a few years ago, I was always in a suit. We're not in those days anymore. People actually relate more to you being in a polo, business casual, more relaxed than being in a suit. People are now intimidated by the suit. So, do your thing. You got it? The key is making money. How are you going to make money? Hey, advertise to tattoo parlors. Or do you want to open up your own business? Right? And give me discounts? Right? Why not? That's not discrimination, by the way. If you're advertising like that, it's not discrimination yet. So don't worry about that. If you have to take them out because you feel more comfortable conducting business that way, sure. As far as tattoos covering them, there's makeup for that. That's strictly for that. So it will help you cover if you want. You don't have to anymore. Okay? What else? No, Vanessa, I didn't say I didn't. You wrote, you don't understand my English is not good. It's the way, like even like Gil speaks perfect English, okay? And he doesn't know how to type. So that's why I was just trying to understand how it was written. And he just wrote here, he's still on. He wrote here, "Good night, Bruno. I'm going to close the screen, but listen to Daphne questionnaire." All right. So let me see if I can get to it. Yanessa, perfect. She told you, Geraldine, create relationships. This is what I was trying to say. Okay. Vanessa said, just be professional. Your work talks for you. Absolutely. All right, so let's go here. Who do I have? Okay, cool. So Gary left. He had a question I didn't get to. Oh, I did answer that. All right, so I don't understand. That's what it was. You got to hear. I don't understand why, if you rest of the depreciation is still being taxable if is a more on a payment. Still trying to translate what your thought is. You want to write it in Spanish? Go for it. And don't worry about it, because sometimes even I cannot express myself, so I try. This is just something I'm comfortable with. Daphne, I will definitely. Let me just finish with Vanessa's question. As far as this one, I can address right now. Claiming depreciation each year does not lower your property taxes. It lowers your personal tax obligation. Okay. Okay, so Daphne, I'll address that right now. Um, the pyramid is just a concept. It's the fact that you can keep on refinancing and cashing out on your property. As we said before, there's equity buildup. So over the years, you pay down the balance of the mortgage, but the value of the property increases. So now there's more equity. And because there's equity, you can refinance and cash out on that equity. So that's what where the pyramiding comes in, because every time it increases, you can keep on cashing out. So if this year increased and you cashed out, great. Next year it increased and you're able to cash out again, great. Next year increased. So it pyramids because you're most likely not taking the same value every year. Otherwise, it would be like a square, right? But it's a pyramid because of that. So that's what I had here. I just put amounts, random amounts, just for putting. Random amounts, okay? So there's nothing specific here. This is just an idea of what you can do every time you buy a property. You should buy at a low cost, let it increase in value with a few little things that you do, cash out, and dump it into an investment. That's what we're trying to say. So the concept of pyramiding is just piggybacking on these increases right here, piggybacking on these increases to make more money. That's all. No, this is cash out of your pocket. This is your first investment to buy the 4-family. This 4-family increased in value, and you're able to take $100,000 of that value to buy the 3-family, right? Now it's $300,000 that you owe on the 4-family. Then it kept on going up in value the following year. You took another $50,000, you dumped into a 2-family, so purchase another property, right? So these are just examples of what you can do with one single property. You can buy multiple properties by taking the money out, okay? But all this right here is from the 4-family. That's why at the end of the day, you owed $380,000 on the mortgage, because it's the sum of all these. You got it? Vanessa, you gave up on typing? You're thinking. Oh, okay. I just want to make sure because I saw you stop. I don't want to make sure you got it. You can always speak. I'll give you the mic. Is it easier? Yeah? All right, Daphne, let me know if you got that one. Meanwhile, Vanessa, right here.
Hi, Bruno.
Mic check. There you go. Hi.
Uh,
Only
what
some
I,
people, Tidy. Only some people. Go.
um, what I don't understand is if you get the 10,000 depreciation of the payment,
Hmm.
why is still taxable? Like if you get out of the $48,000, right? Why you can still having taxes from them if you don't have to pay it anymore?
Hmm.
Like I don't get it.
I don't get why you said your English was no good. It was perfect English, just with an accent. Anyway, all right, cool. So I'm gonna mute you for a second. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So here's the thing. Perfect question. Usually I address that while I'm going through it. I try to avoid it now because a lot of people get even more confused. But government is government. What does that mean? They give you the benefit, but then they want it back. So technically, over the years, you deducted $10,000. Now they want those $10,000 back plus 25% interest. Because that's what happened right here. Right? Sorry. That's what happened right here. They said, hey, you took $10,000, so now you have to deduct of how much money you put in. And by the way, we're taxing you on 25% for having that benefit over the years. So yes, I totally understand your confusion. I avoid this altogether lately because I would confuse people even more. But the government gives you the benefit over the years, but then charges you for that benefit once you sell. And they charge you 125%. The fact that you have to deduct it from your actual cost, right? And then 25%, right there, 25% on the deduction itself. Got it? Now you got it? Okay. Tidy, do you want to speak too? Okay, say hi.
Hello, guys.
See?
No, it was kind of confusing because of the same fact. I was thinking depreciation.
Uh-huh.
It,
Go ahead.
it's 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 something that is minus in your account. So why would they charge? But you explain it perfectly.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Uh, yeah,
You're good, Bruno. You're
they,
the best, Bruno.
oh, thank you. Yeah, but that's it. They give you the benefits in everything in life. If you see there's a lot of benefits, but then they charge you. Like right now, the money that they're giving you. Let me mute you for a second, okay? So, oh, you muted. Okay. So the money that they give you, the $600 that they've been giving everybody for the pandemic or whatever, at the end of the year, you might be taxed on that money. Like, why? Why are we being taxed on that money that we already contributed and we're getting back as an emergency fund? Why are we getting taxed on that? Does that make sense? The military gets trillions of dollars, right? We're not at war. Why do they need all that money? This is just an example. I'm just going stupid right now, but all it takes is $374 million to get everybody out of poverty, because there's 374 million people in the United States. So if all it takes is $1 million each, that's $374 million. Yet we passed a law for $3 trillion. Where did the money go? Businesses got $600 billion, and you went to, and I'm not getting into politics. All I'm trying to show is how the government operates. Okay, so the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Plan, right? They had $600 billion that they don't know where it went to. They can't allocate it. Where did it go to? Yet Harvard, a company that's not a small business, was able to receive 94 million of those $600 billion. They returned it, like a lot of businesses are now returning it, right? But the money was for small business. What I'm trying to say here is they got all those benefits plus tax cuts. But us, we still have to deal with getting the money and paying taxes on it. That's the way the government operates. We gave this money for them to be able to fund these things. That's an emergency fund that we're getting back. So why do we pay taxes? Depreciation is the same thing. We claim it, right? But then we have to pay back and pay interest or a fee, let's call a penalty, at closing when we sell. Okay? Now, next one on the mic. Hold on. Everybody's having fun today. Go. Oh, no. You got the mic.
But are you guys able to hear me? I don't know. Are you able to hear me? Are you able?
Just kidding. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh. No, because for the pyramid, so what I'm trying to understand is the original mortgage for the four family house was 300K. So I guess from the equity that was built from that mortgage, he took out what, a $200,000 loan to, or did he take out the $100,000 loan to get the three family house?
Okay. So here, 200. This was the initial purchase price, and you bought a four family. That's what you're invested in. Over the years, it appreciates. It increases in value. Right. So the $200,000 is your existing mortgage for the four family.
Okay.
Okay. And then because it increased in value, now you owe 300,000 because you cashed out 100,000. You took a home equity loan or a line of credit. So you still have the first mortgage to pay to finish paying, but then you took an additional 100,000. The problem is what I was trying to say before is that a few years ago when the market was crashing, that's why I put from 2000 to 2009, people were taking advantage of this increase and using the money for the dumbest things in the world, right? What I was trying to show here is that you can leverage the increase in value and mortgage your house as much as you can, but take that money as investment. Because think about it, you buy a single family, right? It's just an expense. That means for you to invest in a second home, you really have to make a lot of money to be able to have savings, right? But if it's an investment property, then the rents pay the mortgage, and hopefully you're still pocketing money or using your salary as a savings for another property and another property and another property. But do you want to take your salary and save it towards properties? Or do you want to leverage one property to get more? Does that make sense?
So you take out the, I mean, from the 200 you took out the 100,000 to buy the three family, and then I guess the property increased. So then you took out another 50K to buy another two family.
So, hold on. So that was the, hold on. So this right here, like I said, is the purchase price. The property increased in value, kept on increasing. All right. So it's plus a second mortgage of 100,000, plus
Okay.
third mortgage of 50,000, plus fourth mortgage of 30,000. So we're getting more and more mortgages against it. That's what it is.
Okay. So then that's why you owe a total of 380 for the mortgage.
Correct. So we totally mortgaged the property at $380,000 right now.
So you took out. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get there. I'm still a little confused.
Get in the car.
So from the original purchase price, I guess from the properties increasing, you were able to take out 100K to buy the third family, the three family
Yep.
house.
Exactly.
Okay. So then you have the little upside down pyramid. So what's the 180K?
Okay, so what I meant here is because there was a crash. So from 2000, from the year 2000 to the year 2009, it kept on going up. But in 2009, there was a crash. So now the property is what's called underwater, meaning you still owe 380, but the property is now worth 380. The property is worth way less, so 180,000, as an example. So they lost value. There was a market crash. Everything went down. And then what I was showing you was that over the years it went back up. So you owed 380,000, but now it might be worth 400. So it's worth more. Now you're out of the water, and you can sell the property for profit if you want. So this is a cycle that happens. That's what I was showing you guys here. It's a cycle. Every 10 to 15 years, there's an adjustment to values. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let me mute. Next one on the mic. No, Gil's still there. I told you. Meredith.
Hi, Bruno.
Hi, hi.
Hi, everyone. Hi. I'm still confused with that being an owner of a multiple LLC.
Okay.
How could you? I'm kind of confused with your explanation, even though I mean I probably can understand, but I'm not still convinced. And having multiple LLC on every single property that you buy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that?
Absolutely. Working on it right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Property A, property B, C, and property D. We got 4 properties. They're side by side. This is Main Street. We own all these 4 properties. Okay. So this is 102 Main Street LLC. This is 104 Main Street LLC, and so on. Okay? What is the benefit of doing this? So, if something happens in this property right here, then who owns the property? The LLC, right? So if something happens in the property, I'm not the owner, the LLC is. I'm a shareholder of the LLC. So the liability is not on the shareholders, the liability is on the LLC. So if something happens, somebody slips and falls, right? And there's not enough to cover from the insurance, as an example, right? They can only sue to the extent of the insurance in this LLC. So let me zoom in. They can only sue to the extent of the insurance in this LLC, right? And if it's beyond the insurance and we're forced to sell something, then all we have to sell is property A. It doesn't affect the other properties because there's a shield. The shield is called LLC. And here,
And it doesn't
again,
affect you as a shareholder?
I'm just a shareholder. I'm not the owner of the property. Okay? So if we look at partnerships, like I was saying before, there's general partnerships, limited partnerships, there's LLCs, there's corporations. If it's a partnership, then yes, if this said right here, if it said LLP, limited liability partnership, then yeah, I might be able to have to sell my house or any other assets that I have. Because in an LLP, limited liability partnership, if I'm the general partner of that entity, if I'm the general partner, then I'm personally liable for it too. Okay? If it's a GP, which is a general partnership, then all the members are liable. Okay? But in an LLC, every time you see corporation, there's a shield of liability. And that's what corporations are for. You can own multiple corporations. Imagine we got Moses, we got Catherine, Vanessa, Tidy, Meredith, Gil, Mina, and Rudy still on the line. So imagine each one of us has their own business, right? And now we all get together in one business. And because one of us screws up, everybody's going to have to pay for it because we're all somehow connected. It doesn't make sense. And that's why these LLCs are created for several businesses. It's to separate liability. Again, it does not protect against fraud. So fraud takes away any kind of protection. Okay? Fraud takes away any kind of protection. But LLCs are limited liability, as it says. The name says it all. Limited liability corporation. That means it limits the liability of its members in case of a lawsuit. So if you put $10,000 into the LLC, that's all you're liable for. The LLC is supposed to be insured to protect these properties. You got it?
I got it.
So everything is independent. I can own all of them, but I don't own any of them. Because all I have is an interest in the LLC, but the LLC is the one that owns the property, not me. And that's key. I do not own any property at all. You got it? The LLC owns the property. This other LLC owns the property. This other LLC owns the property. Not me. I'm a shareholder in it. I'm a shareholder in Virgin Galactic. I'm a shareholder in Amazon. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that mean that I'm liable if Amazon screws up everything from now on, destroys all the packages? Am I liable for that? No. The corporation is liable for it. I'm just a shareholder. I'm going to lose the value of the shares if it goes down. Just like I'll lose a property if I'm forced to sell because of a lawsuit. But it doesn't affect my other shares. It doesn't affect my other businesses. That's the benefit of corporations. That's the benefit of incorporating or opening an LLC. There's just a difference between corps and LLC that's very important. Big difference between corps and LLCs. Ready? Simple, complicated form of ownership. That's the difference. LLC is right here, is simple. It's for people that have, you're the only, so Tidy, to address Tidy real quick, if you're the only owner, you can even be a single owner on a corp. And we don't call it owners, it's members. You're not an owner, you're a member of the LLC. I'm a managing member of this company. I'm not the owner of the company, I'm a managing member. I'm the CEO. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not the owner of the company. A lot of people say that they're the owners. No, you're the majority shareholder or member of the LLC. I can sell my interest to somebody else, but that's all you have is an interest. You're not the owner, you have an interest. When we say business owner, it's incorrect, but we say it all the time. I'm a business owner. No, you're the majority shareholder. You got it? Simple as that.
Taxation wise, it's just the LLC that would be taxed when it comes to selling it.
That's the other benefit of the LLC. There's a pass-through. See, with corp, you are double tax. With an LLC, it's passed through. That means whatever profit the LLC has, it passes through to you when you go do your taxes. Just like a K1 for the partnership, where we split the profits, here's the same thing. Here, you pay taxes on the profit of the company, and then you pay taxes on your own profit. Here, in the LLC, you pay taxes on your profit only. It passes through to you. That's just like a partnership. That's the benefit of the LLC, is that it's that simple.
Thank you.
And barely any disadvantages. Barely. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Vanessa's back. Good night, Catherine. I see a lot of stuff came through. Hold on. Gil says we were outnumbered. Me, Gil, and then the ladies. We were outnumbered. All right. Tidy, does this apply to investment property or also any property? The thing is, how do you register the property? Are you registering the property as an LLC or as a, right here, so everybody sees it? Are you registering the property as an LLC or registering as an individual? Can you register as an LLC? That's the other question. A lot of mortgage companies don't allow you, like the traditional mortgage company, doesn't allow you to register the property that you're buying through them with their investments, doesn't allow you to register as an LLC. And in the future, if you want to do it, you have to ask them permission to change the deed from individual to LLC. So there's an agreement you have to sign that says, I'm still personally liable for the note, but the deed transferred to LLC for liability purposes, right? But can you use it for single? Absolutely. Gil, as far as the DJ stuff, any business you do should be separate from the individual. Never, ever, ever conduct business as an individual. That's really bad. Okay? What else? If I have a video on taxes, I have a video of this chapter, but I don't have a video like detailed on taxes. No, but if there's any questions that you want me to address, I'll create a video for it. Okay. Tidy, you want the mic? She got used to it now. All right, go ahead.
No, my question is, so how long you have to have an LLC before you buy a house under an LLC?
Depends. How quick can you build business credit? How quick can you prove that the LLC is profitable? The best answer I can give you is buy a shelf corp, something that already exists and shows history. Because a lot of the requirements is that you have at least 2 years of history. But if you buy a business that already existed, then you just take over. Then you just have to prove the last 6 months to a year of income. But that's a totally different course and information that can help you. I'm just don't want to confuse you. That's what I'm trying to say, because it's a lot of information that can help you boost if you're looking to become an investor for properties. You can use business credit, and you should use business credit versus personal.
Okay, so you do need a history before you. Like, I'm not gonna go and open an LLC and try to purchase a house under that LLC. That's what I'm like.
I'll say it like this: if your credit is above 740, you can tomorrow. If you're and if you have income, if your credit is mid to low score, then you're gonna have to wait for 2 years of history, and you have to show 6 months to a year of good bank statements. But there's a lender for everything. That's the only thing I can tell you.
Cool.
All right.
Wait, I'm nervous about that exam.
Well, then
What
stop.
do you recommend me?
Then
What do you recommend me to
Stop
do?
asking questions about investments.
Hi, Bruno. Terrible.
I am. I'm. When it comes to that, I'm really bad. I'll tell you straight. The way it
I
is.
saw your picture. You're suffering. Okay. Thanks, Bruno.
You're welcome. Just keep testing yourself with a Quizlet and doing the online test.
Then again, you killed it because you said yesterday that Quizlet is not gonna help you for the exam.
No.
That you rather have the ninth.
No, that's not what I said. What I said, Quizlet is
It's
great
not as
is
good
great.
as the other one, the 90.
No. Quizlet is great for you to learn concepts on the fly, to be able to associate immediately. What I said also was that at the end, once you complete 90% of the course, to test yourself, to actually test yourself on how the questions are for the state exam. But Quizlet, the idea behind it is for you to associate things. That's all.
Okay, cool.
So that one you do as you go. The other one you do at the end.
Okay. Thanks, Bruno.
You're welcome. Okay. Gil, I'll definitely do it, man. Just tell me what the question is for taxes, and I will create it. Okay. Again, I'm not a CPA, so a lot of the stuff you have to understand that you have to review with your CPA when you can. But I'll create it, one, to the best of my knowledge and my personal experience. Okay? Good night, guys. Oh, Meredith. Everybody wants the mic today. All right, go.
I have a question. It's totally out of the topic today. Can you differentiate again the HEL and the HELOC?
You want to know the difference between HEL
Yeah, HEL
and HELOC?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, very easy. HEL is a loan. HELOC is a credit card. So it's a line of credit. Okay? There's a huge difference between a loan and a credit. A loan is I gave you cash in your hand, and now you have to pay me back in full. A credit or a line of credit is, hey, if you need money, it's here. If you don't need money, it's okay. That's the biggest difference between them. Both of these go against your property because they're, it says right here, they're home equity. HE was home equity. So they're both based on the equity of your property. It's just that one cash goes to your account, the other one cash is available if you need it. And you pay taxes based on whatever you borrow. So in a loan, if you borrowed $100,000, you pay taxes on $100,000. I'm sorry, you pay interest on $100,000. In a line of credit, you pay based on whatever you borrow. You have a credit card of $100,000. You don't have a loan of $100,000. So if you have a credit card of $100,000, you only take 20. You pay taxes on 20,000. Does that make sense? And because it's a credit, once you pay back the 20,000, or let's say you just paid 10, now you have 90,000 available again. So it's a yo-yo. You can keep with a credit. You can keep on borrowing and paying, borrowing and paying, borrowing and paying. Where in hell, you don't. In hell, you have the money and you have to pay it down until it reaches zero. You cannot borrow anymore. You just have to pay until it reaches zero.
I got it.
Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, guys? Let me know. If not, I'll end the session. All right. Good night, guys. Thank you so much.